All right, and we're back on the Geek Speak show. Now, if I was to say in conversation, or if I was to ask you directly, who are you going to call? I think you all know the answer. You do, because you just all said it out loud. And yeah, there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt. But I'll say this. No matter how big of a Ghostbusters fan you think you are, I'm willing to bet there's one Ghostbusters story that you probably didn't know about. But you can watch it now. You can watch it for free. Matter of fact, here's a little tease on exactly what that Ghostbusters story is.
Are you the Ghostbusters?
We are. What's happening here?
We need help. We've got ghosts.
Is there anything you could tell us about the ghost sightings?
Well, they're all over the building. Big ones, small ones. And there's a small box on the ground with an open lid.
Guys, it's highly imperative that we shut that box. Well, what are we waiting for? You take the one on the left. Right. Hold on to your kittens. Ghostbusters! There's something strange going on. And it don't look good.
There's something very wrong with that man.
Yeah, looks cool, huh? Now, it is a fan film. I know, it doesn't look like a fan film, does it? But it's a fan film. It's done by kids. And, well, you know what? Instead of explaining to you, let me bring on the director, Kevin Croxton. He's joining me now on the Geek Speak show, and he'll tell you all about the making of Ghostbusters Half-Life. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So let's start actually with, again, don't spoil it. There's nothing really to spoil, but don't give out any surprises or anything. But just tell everybody, what is the film? What is Ghostbusters Half-Life? What's it all about?
Well, first of all, it's a tribute to the series, and it has the vibe of the classic Ghostbusters 1 and 2. It has more of that vibe. Set in 1994, and it's an original story, but it's kind of, and I'm not going to give it away, but it's kind of a little bit of a bridge in between Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife. Kind of fills in some gaps that explores some things that people might be curious about. And so the Ghostbusters, the basic story is and you can tell from the trailer, there's a strange box in the middle of, I'm going to tell you, in Tulsa, and the Ghostbusters have to go across country to shut this box because it's drawing ghosts from everywhere and causing all kinds of mayhem.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, and already those of you that have watched it and seen the trailer and you're hearing, you mentioned Tulsa, you see the connections to Afterlife. I'm assuming that's why you called it Half-Life, because
there's two meanings. It's a double entendre. Yeah, there's Half-Life. Because it's not really halfway in between, but it's in it's in between. You know what I mean? Yes, that's one reason. And then there's a mention of well, I don't want to spoil it, but when Egon in the middle of the film is talking about what would happen if this box was not shut, and there's a mention, another mention in a different way. But yes. Yeah,
it's one of those. If you've watched it, you know.
Yes.
So when did you get the idea for this movie?
Well, the movie previous was we did an Indiana Jones film, and after we did that, I was like, man, what can we do next? Because it's like, how are we going to top this one? I mean, we had a cameo from Karen Allen in our Indiana Jones film. It was massive, and I remember that there was a gentleman in Tulsa named Raul Rosario, and he owns movie cars. That's kind of his thing. He likes to collect movie cars, and he has a replica Ecto-1. And so I thought, man, I could do a Ghostbusters film. That would be so cool. And so I reached out to him with the idea, and he's like, man, I'm all for that. Let's do a children's fan film, Ghostbusters. So I went to Tulsa. It's just about, from where we are, it's about 2 hours. So my school, Oliver Springs Elementary School, is in Van Buren, Arkansas. I live just right across the river in Fort Smith. And so from us, it's about 2 hours. So I drove to Tulsa, and we sat down, and it's funny because I'd already sketched out one scene that I thought, if I did this, this would have to be, and I'm not going to tell because I don't want to give it away, because
Yeah.
it's the scene in the middle of the film when you see something massive, and I don't want to give it away, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I sketched out that scene and I brought it to him, and he's, man, this is great. And I've got to give him credit, because I was talking about potential ideas for a storyline. He actually said, now don't forget to include Louis Tully. And it's like, and I probably would have anyway, but it's like, I have to credit Raul, because after that, Louis was in my mind. And of course, if you watch the film, he's most certainly in it. So, you have you have the Ghostbusters, you have Janine, and then you've got new characters in there. And I don't want to give away those new characters, but it was a lot of fun. And again, I'll tell you this about the story. Once we decided to do it, it took me a while to write it. And I'll tell you why. Like Indiana Jones, for some reason, it just kind of wrote itself for me. It's like, I mean, I wrote it, but it's like, but the difference was comedy. That's the difference, is comedy. Trying to write lines that are funny. And it took me a while to really think about how I wanted, because I wanted this to feel like classic Ghostbusters. And so, but once I wrote the script out, then came to the casting. And that's another thing, is trying to, not only you got the comic lines, but you've got to get 4th and 5th grade kids that can deliver.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a big process, but that's kind of how it kind of got started, though.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the kids were familiar with the Ghostbusters movie before they started, right?
They were, but I'll tell you, I think they're probably more familiar with the newer ones that came out, Afterlife and Frozen Empire. And several of them had seen the old ones, but there were several that had only seen the newer ones. And so, again, I think that got them to looking at the older ones as well. But yeah, they were familiar with Ghostbusters for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm asking that because when you started filming, did you the kids that were playing the original characters, did you tell them to be Murray and Aykroyd and everybody, or did you just let them be?
No, well, I will tell you what we did was when they auditioned, when they read dialogue lines, I tried to listen to how they approached those characters, and I got people that I wanted them to do their own thing, but I wanted you to feel Murray, I wanted you to feel Aykroyd, and I'm not. And since you've watched them, you know what I'm talking. There's a couple of scenes, like with toward the end when Ray confronts in the big confrontation with the box. He delivers this, "Hello, paranormally possessed puppets." There's this one line that just feels so Dan Aykroyd, feels so Ray, and so yeah. So when they read the lines, when they were auditioning, I just kind of sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, that guy's got it," or I'll give you an example, like Janine. I wanted the girl to have a New York accent, and so I had some kids came in and they were good actors, but they just didn't have it. Well, then this one girl comes in, and not only did she nail the accent, but she had attitude. I mean, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Janine. And I'll tell you, there's I don't want to give it away, but there's another girl that was really close. It was a second runner up, and she played another character, a new character in this. And you probably know who I'm talking about. But again, I want people to watch to get to meet that character. It's a lot of fun. So, but yeah, no, I was really pleased. And let me I'll tell you something that we do that's a little different, or we have done up to now. Because we're in elementary school and I'm an audio person, I'm really picky about my audio. And I've seen a lot of fan films, and some are really good, but sometimes some of them, the audio may not be the cleanest, and that's really important to me. And so, since I in the past haven't had a dedicated sound guy, so what we did is, obviously, you know what ADR is.
Yeah.
Think of my process as a reverse ADR. Okay, I score the entire film. I lay in my own voice for every character in that film, so the kids can hear it. Once I cast it, we have recording sessions with every character, and they record dialogue lines, and they get the right inflections the way they want to do it. And then I put them into the audio track. So when we shoot, we have a complete audio track with everybody talking to each other. And I send the kids their scenes, and I put little sync pops before, whoop, and they say their line, and they rehearse it. So when they get on set, by the way, I have the best cinematographer. His name is Clay Pruitt, and he's just amazing. But I bring this Bluetooth speaker along, okay? And so when they record their lines, it'll go whoop, and then he'll save a line. The kids will save the lines, and we'll get a few good takes, do close shots, wide shots. We'll let them run the whole scene wide with those sync pops in there. And he's like, man, I hate that Bluetooth speaker. But man, it's worked well for us. And then so I'll take the best takes and I'll drop them into my timeline, and we do it in Premiere, and I just drop it in there and sync it up and drop out the onset audio, and I've got clean audio, man. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling me about the audio. I mean, I'm an audio guy. I was telling you with my production company, besides the podcast, that's one of the big services. That's the reason why I created the production company, because not even just independent or fan films, sometimes big production films, the audio throws you off because for whatever reason, it seems to be an afterthought. Well, they'll spend money on lighting, on the actors, obviously, everything else, the catering even, but they forget the sound. And it's really important. Oh, yeah. Because a lot of times, you're right, it makes or breaks a film or a show. People watching this, they can't put their finger on it, but it's the sound. If you're constantly having to turn it up because you can't hear it, or turn it down because it's blowing out your ear, you're not going to stick with it. So yeah, you're right. Audio is very, very important.
100% agree. Yeah, audio, and then the music and the way it all, the sound is critical. Yeah.
Yeah. The mix, the sound mix, the final mix. Yeah.
You bet.
I mean, I was going to ask you about Ecto-1, but you kind of answered that in a minute. So I'll ask you instead, still sticking with Ecto-1. By the way, when you were talking about your friend that collects movie cars, he's not talking about Hot Wheels. He's talking about life-size actual replicas.
Correct. And he works on them too. Sometimes he'll get cars and he'll put the work in on it, and sometimes he'll make them and make them too authentic, and sometimes he'll get them. Like this guy's got, besides an Ecto-1, he's got a DeLorean. He's got a lot of cars, and we always joke around. We're like, my cinematographer's like, man, sometime we need to do a Back to the Future. It's like, but we got something else we're doing first. But we're like, and Raul's like, yeah, maybe on down the road, let's do that. So.
Well, wait. I hope I'm not giving anything away, but does he have a Knight Rider, a kit?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think he has a Knight Rider.
Okay.
I'll tell you what he does have. Well, he hasn't done it. One of the things that's on his property, he's got like a Volkswagen, like a motorhome. He's if you're familiar with Stripes, and obviously, we remember the EM50.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a vehicle that eventually he's going to convert to an EM50. Okay. And every time I've been over there a few times, I'm like, when are you going to do it? And he's like, I don't know. It's just, it's like a project, and I can tell where it's going, but that'll be cool when he gets that done. But yeah, he just loves cars. I mean, he's got something from Jurassic Park, maybe one of the Jeeps or something. I can't remember, but he's got a lot of stuff there, and it's pretty cool. He's a cool guy.
Well, what I was going to ask Ecto-1, and you guys listening to those and watching those, you'll see it in the film when you watch it. I'm assuming no, but you tell me, were the kids driving the Ecto-1? There's a couple of scenes where you see him driving.
No. Yeah, we had, so Raul, what he does, he dressed up in the suit, and the windows are tinted so you really can't see. It's just trick photography. Like the scene when Egon, like, there's a scene, I'm not going to give anything away, but they drive up and he gets out, right? So, we show it driving up, and then the door starts to open, and then we change angles, and then the kid's in the car, and then he's opening that door. So it just looks like he drives up, the door starts to open, he gets out, So it's that's the way we've done it with all of our films. Indiana Jones, Batman, all of them, we always have stunt doubles. So
yeah. Well, I was gonna say it was well done, because obviously you fooled me. I thought the kids were actually driving the Ecto-1.
That's great.
Yeah, which is what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to fool the audience into thinking it's actually happening.
Yeah, because these are not kids in the movie; they're adults.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the kids in real life, were they, other than the acting, were they involved in the whole production, or how? What's their roles in the movie?
Well, for the most part, I mean, I will tell you, I write the stories, but one of the things that I did, as I was writing it, and again, I don't want to give anything away, but there's a couple of montage sequences where they travel across the country and bust some ghosts, and then there's when they're in Tulsa, there's a montage of ghosts taking over the town. And so I had several sessions with my music club where I just said, what kind of ghosts would you like to see in the film? And kids started spouting out, I'd like to see this kind of ghost. And I'm not going to say what they are, because I want people to watch, but they just started telling me ghosts, and I started writing them down. And it was funny, is some of them I had kind of in my mind anyway. So I was like, well, that's cool. So So a lot of these ghosts are selections by the kids in the music club.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask you next, is where you came up with the look for the ghosts and the monsters, but you just answered that from.
Well, they gave me the idea, and then for some of them, I had kind of an idea of like maybe some of them that needed to look ghouly or more, or funny, and I worked with my assistant director, Gustavo Simon. He's also works with prosthetics, and so he helped our makeup artist come up with some of the looks, which we shot all of the ghosts at the end of, that was the last thing we shot. We had 2 days of green screen shoots at 5-Star Video Productions in Fort Smith. We covered all the walls and the floors with green screen, and brought the kids in. We had our costumer get them dressed. We had them go to makeup. And then what we would do is, because when we shot the film, the kids just had to pretend like there was ghosts there. And so when they're, I don't want to give anything away, but, there's a scene where one runs by, runs past the Ghostbusters, and they have to look surprised. And so what we did is we would put that up on the screen, and we would watch it at the video production house, and we would watch the direction, and then we would kind of get the cameras positioned and have him run the way we wanted him to run on screen, So
yeah. Well, I wasn't going to ask you about this, but you were telling me about this before we started recording, and I do want everybody to learn about this, and know about this at least. Is when you watch it, when all of you watch it, and we've all seen fan films and indie films, and sometimes you can tell that there wasn't, much of a budget. On this one, even though it is a student film, it's kids, it looks like a big budget film. So what kind of budget did you have, and how did you get it all done the way the final film looks?
Well, the kids, every time we do one of these films, the kids do fundraising. They go out and go out into the community and ask people to donate, and they raise, and we usually do 2 years, because I have the music club for 2 years. When they audition for music club and they get in, it's a 2-year process. The first year is kind of a playing year, and the second year is a production year. And both years they end up raising funds. So you take all of the funds that they raise, plus donations from businesses. We had a bank donate. We had just different organizations come together, and I'll contribute too. And it's like all together we spent on this Ghostbusters over $20,000. And of course we've done this for many, many years. And when it started out, it was way less, but it's just grown. The support from the community has been tremendous. They've watched our films grow, and the production values get higher, and it's just people want to help. It's been pretty amazing. And parents too, we had 60 kids in music club, and we had a lot of parents, and they would contribute. In fact, there's, again, don't want to give anything away, but there's a scene where they go to this hotel, and the front of this hotel, this big awning and stuff. I had a former music club parent that works for a plastics company, and it was still heavy, but he was able to construct that entire thing, and we had a team of parents that just assembled it all, and it was pretty cool. It's just amazing that all these, again, you get these parents that have different talents that they bring into it, and sometimes we also had a makeup artist that helped as well, and it was cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure those parents, like all of us listening and watching, that they're Ghostbusters fans, they're Indiana Jones fans. You even did a James Bond one, so they're fans of that, so they probably, it's their kids, but added the fact that it's something that they like, that they grew up with. So yeah, it's
for sure, yeah. And I'll tell you, it's every time I do one of these films, it's obviously a blessing for these kids to get to take part in something like this, but the parents have a lot of fun. They have fun working with their kids, and we all get to know each other real well and spend a lot of time together. We like this particular group, we spent north of here about 2.5 hours. There's a hotel, and it's kind of known as a kind of a haunted hotel, and they gave us a real good deal. And we stayed up there for 3 days to shoot all the inside shots, and man, we just had the most fun together doing that. So yeah, it's a blessing to get to work with all these kids and parents. And
yeah, the Ghostbusters films, the original ones, they have obviously a lot of memorable characters that everybody remembers. One of them, even though he's kind of the villain, if you will, is William Peck. He actually, not that character, but the actor who plays him, William Atherton, he's in this movie. He has a cameo. So how did that happen? How did you get him to do that cameo?
So, kind of what I do, because I've had cameos from the last couple of movies, and typically what I did with William Atherton is I thought, man, he would make a great, character. Again, I'm not going to tell you what the character was, but I called, I found out, I'm on this thing called IMDb Pro, and I can find out information about management companies and all this stuff. So I found out who his manager was, and I called his manager, and we had a great talk, and I told him what we were doing, and it's kind of funny. We connected. He had a client that shot a Western in Arkansas a few years back, and I scored that film. And so we talked about it. We just kind of hit it off and talked about it. And he said that he would talk to William Atherton. And he said, he's pretty private. I don't know that I'm not sure if he'll do it or not, but he said, I'll get back to you. And so he did. A couple of days later, he emailed me and says he'll do it. And so I sent him the lines, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of you will literally hear what that is when you watch the movie. If you haven't already, if you do, you know exactly what we're talking about.
And his voice is instantaneously recognizable.
Yeah. You've kind of mentioned a few, and it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun. But to Kevin, what's your favorite memory from making the Ghostbusters film with the kids?
Oh my gosh, I had so many. I really enjoyed shooting at this place called the Crescent Hotel. It was just a lot of fun. It was hard work. I mean, all of it was hard work, but no, we had a blast shooting there for those 3 days. And I will tell you, so again, the Crescent Hotel staff was very, very kind to us, and they helped us out. But we got a little bit in trouble one day because so if you watch the film, you see that in this big final scene with the box, you see lots of mist and smoke in the air, right? Yeah. Again, not giving anything away. So I had fog machines in there, and I'd already talked to the staff about it, and they were good with it. Well, apparently a few people had said something, and somebody came and said, you might want to tame down the smoke a little bit. And I said, oh, okay. But we were fine. But no, we had a lot of fun making it there. And I'll tell you, there's another scene which was a lot of fun to shoot. And I know that the kid that played Ray, name is Eric Vogel. He let me tell you what he did. He you remember the scene in the cafe with one of the ghosts? Again, I'm trying not to give anything away, where he sits down across from the ghost and distracts him while they slide the ghost trap. Anyway, and there's a scene where he's just like, the smoke's rolling up and from him, and he had a blast. That was his favorite scene to film, and that was a lot of fun. That was fun to watch that come together. So, man, there's just so many memories. Did a lot of when you watch the travel montage, there's a lot of aerial shots of the Ecto-1, and like actually the kid that played Ray, his father drove a truck, and what we did is we got into the bed of this flatbed truck, and as the Ecto-1 drove, we just kind of drove, and my cinematographer had the remote, and that was a lot of fun following the car and getting those shots. And man, we were really pleased with how that turned out. So yeah, just a fun process. I'll tell you one thing that was extremely difficult, and I've never had to do this before. The scene downtown where the big thing, I don't want to give it away, but that big moment after the ghosts and all that, where you see the people running down across the street. So we had to literally, and it's supposed to be in Tulsa, but we shot it in downtown Fort Smith because I quickly realized that it was going to be very difficult to block off downtown Tulsa. It's a little bit bigger town, just a little bit more traffic, and so we got we had to get a permit. We had to get event insurance. and we had to hire police officers to work this. It was insanely difficult to put together. But man, it was worth it. It was so much fun. So anyway.
Yeah. You can see it. The kids are playing the role obviously, but you can tell in some scenes that they were having a lot of fun doing this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like I told you, great job. The kids and everybody, you obviously, of course, and everybody behind the scenes. And it's just a fun movie, really. Now, having said that, I do have it linked up on the show description for all of you listening and watching. You can watch Ghostbusters Half-Life, but after you finish watching it, maybe a couple times if you want to, get out of there. Look around the channel. There's a lot. They haven't just done Ghostbusters. This is not the first time the first fan film that Kevin and his kids do. There are some other ones that this audience for sure, properties that this audience loves. Indiana Jones, I mentioned, James Bond. There's a Star Wars one. There's a Star Trek one. Yeah, it's on there now. I know this one kept you busy. If you even started thinking about it and you want to tease, have you thought about what might be next?
I know exactly what's next. I wrote the script last summer, and so let me tell you, I'm doing something different for the next one. And I hate to say it, it's not going to be a fan film for this next one. Now, we may go back to it, but I had this idea. I started looking into Arkansas, because we're in Arkansas. I started looking into Arkansas history and folk tales, and I discovered, and I don't mind sharing this. I mean, because again, it's not a fan film, but there's a folk tale about a creature from the late 1800s that apparently took livestock and chickens and things like that from communities. So what I have done is I have written a script about, imagine the Goonies,
mm-hmm.
and either E.T. or Gremlins, and you fuse them together and stick them in the 1800s. So in this particular film coming up will be the first film that kids are going to play kids. And what's amazing is there's Arkansas gets a lot of film production that comes in, especially Northwest Arkansas, about an hour north of us. People fly in from Los Angeles and everywhere and make films here. And so there's some actors that live in Arkansas that are connected, and they have smaller roles in some of those bigger films, and they're stout actors, people that I've always wanted to work with. Well, I got 4 adult actors that are amazing that are going to be co-stars with the kids in this. And so we're into uncharted territory, but super excited about it. And I will tell you this, we're actually trying to raise a little bit more money. We're going to try to get up to $30,000 because we want to hire a bigger crew, and we want to have a dedicated sound guy, because we want the kids to not lip sync. Like I was telling you about how we do the reverse ADR, and the kids, we pre-record all the dialogue, and then they lip sync on set, speak along with it. But this one, we're going to try to do it regular, because I think that adult actors probably won't want to lip sync, so we're really excited about this. It's going to be, just from the script, I haven't storyboarded it yet, but the script's all written. I got an amazing costumer that's worked on the last 2 films, and 1800s is her jam. I mean, that's her thing. And so it's, again, we've got a great crew we're building, and we're going to shoot it probably next spring. We haven't storyboarded it yet, but we've got the basics laid out, and it's super exciting to do something that's original this time, And now after that, I may want to lean back and do something, whether it be a Back to the Future or something like that. I've got other things that I'd like to do, but for this one, we're going to try, and the kids are going to be kids with adults in this one for the first time. So it's going to be cool.
And funny you mentioned Back to the Future. That's actually what I was thinking when you said that. I was about to tell you where you're going next, Kevin. You don't need roads.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, if I did, and I'm not going to go into it, but if I ever do a Back to the Future, I know how it's going to work. I know exactly how the story. I've already told my cinematographer, and he's like, "Man, that's great." And I told Raul, who has the actor one, who has the DeLorean. I'm like, "I know how we're going to do it," and they're like, "It sounds great." So maybe, again, I'm in a 2-year process right now with this particular group. We kind of overlapped. We got caught up with Ghostbusters. It took us a few months longer than anticipated because it has so many special effects, so many visual effects. Like Indiana Jones had 10 visual effects shots, but this had 95. Ghostbusters had 95. You watch it and you'll believe. I mean, you obviously know.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, that's kind of where we're headed. I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the Ghostbusters one, you'll see it. You'll see why it needed so many shots. Definitely. Again, if you haven't seen it, it's linked up on the show description. Let everybody know website, social, everywhere they can follow you guys, so they know what's coming up next from you guys.
Well, I've got a there's a Facebook page set up for the film. You can, if you want to. My name is Kevin Croxton, so you can follow me. I'm on Facebook, and I've got a YouTube. I put everything on my YouTube channel, just Kevin Croxton, and please follow us and see what we're doing next. Like I said, we're going to shoot the next one next spring. It may go into summer. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, because I've got to go do my location scouting this summer. It's a big process, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking hopefully we'll have it out by August or September next year. We'll just have to wait and see, but it should be for sure by fall of 27 when the next one should come out. So we're excited.
Yeah, judging by what you said it's about, I think fall, closer to October, probably be a great time to release it.
Absolutely. And hey, one more thing about the Ghostbusters film, because I've never done this before, make sure you watch through the credits, because there's an after credit scene.
Yeah.
A lot of people just skip the credits, and it's not like imperative to storyline. It's just fun, you know? So
yeah.
Oh, I gotta say one more thing. I have to say this. One of the ghosts. I have to talk about one of the ghosts. So we were delayed, obviously by visual effects getting it out. But early on, my mother found out she had late stage pancreatic cancer and passed away. And during what I did with my mom, she taught piano to children for 50 years. And so there's a scene in the film when you see a piano teacher ghost. That's all I'm going to say. I just have to say that because I asked her if she would do a cameo in our film. And so she came down to 5 Star Productions. We set up the green screen and shot her part like months and months and months before we ever started shooting. And then she passed away. So that's why at the end it says for Sheila. That's a nod to my mom and dedicate to her. So. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I love that. And well, again, I don't want to give it away. You're right. But yeah, that's going to make, now that they heard you say that, that's going to make them tear up when they see that scene. So
yeah, it's very emotional, but it is my tribute to my mother and the legacy she left.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks again. Thanks for joining me today, Kevin. And like I said, I told you off the air, I'll tell you on the air, extend the congrats to all the kids, everybody involved, and let the kids know that they did a fantastic job in this.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.